Hello, Internets. I'm Joe.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Batman.
And you're listening to Just Cool Enough. And he does whatever a spider can, which is climb Trump Tower, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you see that this is on Facebook Live right now? Or maybe it's on other stuff too. But I saw it on Facebook
imagine
Live.
it's also on the news. It's not Facebook Live. It's probably also on the news.
Yes, that's true. But I don't really go to any news channels unless I'm just walking by in an airport. I don't really know the last time I checked a news channel on purpose.
Well, if I know anything about 24-hour news coverage, they're covering the shit out of this because it's exciting and it's God forbid they do any actual journalism. But yeah, some dude's like, I'm gonna climb a building, and it happens to be Trump Tower.
I think the problem is journalism takes time, and there's no time in a 24-hour news. So everything's breaking. This is a problem I have.
Solve the problem with journalism right now, Joe. Do it.
Well, I can't solve journalism. That's a whole other thing. I could solve everything else, but not journalism. Okay. I'm just saying that it's so annoying when you walk by one of those TVs and it says breaking news, and of course you look because this is breaking news in big block text, and then you look at it and it's just like some guy's climbing a Trump Tower. That's not
even half of it. Like I think this was on John Oliver or somewhere else where it was like CNN, and it says breaking news: William Shakespeare died 100 years ago this day, or whatever.
Exactly. That sums it up perfectly. I don't understand how that stuff qualifies as breaking news.
Because calling it breaking news is exciting.
Well, yeah, you're right. It gets my eyeballs to look for a second.
Breaking news, blah, 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 blah.
We should put that on ours. On all of the Just Cool Enough live posts we do at justcoolenough.com/live, we can just put breaking news before we go live, and then people will join the chat room. Speaking of that, if you want to join the chat room, you can. Just head on over to justcoolenough.com/live. You can join the plethora of people that are in there right now, like First World Eric, because he knows we're going to be talking about first world problems coming up. It's not this Eric, it's First World Eric, not Eric that's on the show, but Eric that's in the chat room. If you want to talk with Eric and Blazers and who else is there? And Blazers again, and Brady's there. If you want to talk with those guys, go to the chat room, justcoolenough.com/live.
Oh, they're making a pull. They're pulling him in the window. Oh, there he goes. He's done.
He's dead. He died. He fell down the building.
Breaking news. Man is murdered by Donald Trump.
By Donald Trump, and then like really small Donald Trump's tower.
Yeah, it's like in small letters. Yeah, it's like man murdered by Donald Trump ? And then there's a chyron below that says man apprehended by police and brought inside alive.
Whoa, what's a chyron? Is that like a space shuttle?
That's like
spaceship?
Chyrons were actual newses on the 24-hour news, because they'll spend like 6 hours talking about like fucking Miley Cyrus lit a joint once, and then underneath it'll be like war broke out in Syria again. You know?
I thought that was the ticker.
I thought Chiron was the place Chiron Beta 5 from that Jonathan Colton song. I thought that's where the Christmas song. No?
I don't know that song, but I gave a real answer, and then.
Wow, yeah. Thanks for that knowledge bomb, Eric.
You're welcome. Also, the little bit at the end of a shoelace is called an aglet.
What?
I knew that one.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Aglet and Chiron. Those are just like that's like people's names out of the Game of Thrones universe.
Yeah.
Sir Chiron, Hand of the King. Anyway, guys.
Sir Joron of Aglet.
There, Aglet definitely sounds like a little town somewhere.
A little hamlet.
Hamlet and Aglet.
What is tied must never be untied. It is the motto of the Aglet.
Your trial to become a man is you have to. It's trial by untie knot.
Yeah,
you just gotta untie a big.
Yeah, it's the trial is the Gordian knot. You have to solve the Gordian knot.
I'm so glad you brought the Gordian knot into this show as well, because it's like 3 or 4 shows in a row where we're able to mention it, and every time I've ham-fisted it in wrong. So I'm really glad you actually, not that you can.
Because you're not good at fisting things.
Oh God.
God, why? We made it through all of last week with barely talking about fisting, and now you go into it right now. Like,
What
it's
about
too
Mr.
early in the
Morris?
show. Speaking,
Mr. Hand. Mr. Hand.
stop. Okay, so
That's
speaking
probably my favorite sentence you've said on this podcast. Is we've gone so long without talking about fisting this week, and here you.
Damn it, you're right. I hate myself. I said that. Anyway, if anybody wants to make sound bites, remember that one. Let's talk about our week, guys. Let's get into it. Eric, how was your week? What'd you do?
My week has been all right. So trying to remember what I did. Oh, Saturday I got together. My buddy Sean runs the Dark Sun Dungeon World game for Saving Throw on Saturdays, which I was a part of for the first initial 3 months, and now he's got a new cast. But he was off in Gen Con, and most of the other players who were friends of mine were away, so they couldn't run it. And I stepped in, and initially I was going to run I was going to run Dark Sun, just continue his campaign, but all but one of the people couldn't be there. So I was like, I'll try something different. So I ran Goblin Quest, which is this really tiny little RPG that's really fun. It's like $15, $10, whatever, and it's great. And I ran that on the stream, and I brought in a couple of new people, like a friend of mine who hadn't played any RPGs before, and then like a friend who maybe has done it but not in a while, and then some other people, and I got to run them through Goblin Quest, and it seemed to go over pretty well. People in the chat were very into the game and the ideas of it. It's a very simple game that's just basically pure storytelling. I was GMing it, but you don't even need a GM if you want to. You can play without one, which is one of the fun things about the system. And I'll that'll be my plug. I'll throw a link to that in the show notes, or you can go to the Saving Throw Show YouTube channel if you want to watch me run some people through that. But it was fun because their initial quest was their clutch of goblins wanted to start an award-winning ice cream shop, and I believe 8 goblins died in the process. Because that's how Goblin Quest works. Just a lot of deaths doing very mundane, stupid things, which is great. And then I started on Monday, and then continuing later this week. A buddy of mine has been working on this really fun pilot series that he wants to start doing. We're shooting the pilot, and that was fun. I've been doing sound for that and recording it. It's weird and funny. It's like all my friends working on it, and it's great. And it's like we're making something that could be pretty awesome, I think.
You're making a pilot? Like a show, as in...
No, they're going to get on a plane.
He's turning into a... Oh, okay, so he's like...
He's pilot's license, yeah.
Eric's just talking, and he's like, adjust your altitude. We need more lift to the front rudders.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, it's we don't know it'll probably just be on because it's through Senior Ditch Day, the video group I do stuff for, and we'll see, like, we're filming the pilot and pitching it to some other places, but if not, we'll just continue to make it for Senior Ditch Day probably. It should be kind of fun. It's kind of a little different than what we normally do, and I enjoy it.
Okay. The Goblin one that you were talking about reminds me a little bit. It sounds like Paranoia, but fantasy-based rather than sci-fi.
Yeah, it's very heavily inspired by the game Kobolds Ate My Baby, which he doesn't shy away from that. He's like, it's very heavily inspired by this. But it's fun because you each player has 5 goblins, and they're very easy to kill, and it's very weird and a lot of great improvisation. And the game actually comes with like what they call rule hacks, where you can play the game in different ways. Like there's one where everybody, instead of goblins, everyone is superheroes, or everybody is weird, what they call space interns, basically red shirts from Star Trek, or there's like a Call of Cthulhu type thing. There's one that's like basically a Jane Austen novel where you're all trying to like marry Mr. Darcy or something like that. And the best rule hack, unequivocally, is Sean Bean Quest, where you're all various incarnations of Sean Bean trying not to die in a Sean Bean movie.
I have to look up who Sean Bean is.
Have you seen movies? He's the guy that dies in all of them.
Let me look up Oh, I know that guy. He dies in everything.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No spoilers here. If he's in a movie, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Or also, he also can die.
A spoiler would be like saying Sean Bean survives to the end of National Treasure.
What
That's a
is that?
spoiler.
Did that actually happen?
He survives
Wait,
National
you just
Treasure.
spoiled it for me.
Yeah, I spoiled National Treasure, the original National Treasure, by telling you Sean Bean does not, in fact, die in that movie.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, he also stars in HBO series sometimes too.
Mhm.
He's not very. Are you still considered a successful actor if you get killed out of all your major roles?
Yeah, if you're in all of the things.
Yeah. Okay.
If you've been working steadily since the mid-'80s, then yeah, you're a successful actor. I would say yes, Sean Bean is a successful actor. Despite having died in many major motion pictures, I would still say that the fact that he's in all of them...
Wait, I don't think he died in Death Race 2 unrated.
I don't yeah, he probably did not. He also did not die in The Martian.
Did he die in Pixels? Did anyone see Pixels?
I saw Pixels. I don't believe he died. I believe he survived to the end of that movie.
Wow.
So, are you trying to say that he tends to live through the bad movies?
He was only in one scene. So he may have had like an aneurysm in a scene that was cut or off screen that we did not see. So, or maybe his character killed himself after the events.
Well, I just think that when you are, when you got this many movies, and that's the sign of a good movie. If Sean Bean dies in it, it's going to be a good one. I think that's the logic here. Just looking at the different movies that are out, except for The Martian, that was all right. Definitely the best comedy.
Yeah, it's definitely the best comedy of
for
2014.
Sure. For sure. As a comedy expert, I know.
Yeah. As a trained comedian, improviser, and sketch writer, I can definitely say Martian, best comedy of 2014.
That's some more box art right there. We could do the fisting quote. We can do that quote. Ike, what's going to be your quote this week? How was your week?
My week was good, full of Pokemon and World of Warcraft and.
Oh, I didn't even mention World of Warcraft.
Nerds.
I started playing World of Warcraft again.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, no. Tell me about your week, and then you guys can dovetail into the World of Warcraft thing. Well, how was your week first?
Been catching Pokemon, using up all of my Pokeballs. I had to go get some more the other day. Let's see, I saw Suicide Squad on Friday night.
Why?
Really enjoyed it because I went in with the bar with the bar being underground. It was so low, and I was pleasantly surprised. I went and saw it in IMAX 3D, and I was in the front row. So it was more like rather than watching the movie, I was part of the movie. In fact, a few times I got a little aggravated with the person behind me kicking my chair, and then I realized it wasn't. It was just the rumbling from the sound system, rattling everything, including my eardrums and my brain.
You heard everything that's wrong with movies.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of everything that's wrong with movies, Ike, tell me more about your week, because I gotta.
No, it's okay.
I gotta talk about. I saw.
Talk about World of Warcraft, Ike.
No.
Okay, fine.
Okay, no, you can't talk about
say your shit about Ghostbusters because you're gonna forget it.
No, I wrote it down. I'm not gonna forget it. Talk about. I insist. You first.
No, that's all right. Go for it.
Well, I started playing World of Warcraft again. A bunch of people from Saving Throw were like, "Hey, let's all play. We're all playing on this server." Blah blah blah. I was like, fuck it, yeah. I was like, sure. And then like I started up again. I got a Blood Elf Warlock named Yenin, which was my character from Saving Throw, because I felt like Warlock was the closest I could find to, because he's a wizard in Saving Throw, but he's like very dark, and we're playing the Dark Sun, which is like he's very into like defiling. So I figure that's more of a Warlock in canon. And also I thought about making him undead, but then I thought, well, he's still technically alive. Like he's alive, but he's corrupted. Fuck it. So I made him a Blood Elf, and I've been running around. And it's been good. Because it's funny because it's been a little while since I played, and like a lot of changed, at least in like every character I logged into had all of their talents reset. Like I played my level 100 paladin, and like they changed rep paladins a bit. Like I don't know if I'm missing it or where it is, but there used to be I could use my holy power to heal myself, and I don't see that option anymore. So someone could tell me if how the fuck because I used to just hit shift and I could shift 1 or whatever, and I could heal I hit Q and I healed myself. That button's gone now. But yeah, I've been playing the Warlock, which has been fun, and the fact that heirloom items are now bind on account. So that they were always bind on account, but now they are actually account wide, which is something that I I wish they had years ago, but I got a bunch of heirloom items, and I'm just like fucking tearing through levels so quickly in the early game. It's been nuts.
Ike, you've been playing it for. Eric's just started to back up, but you just started playing it, but you've been playing it for a while now. What has it always been fast to level now?
Well, for a while now, I re-upped my subscription last month or 2 months ago to get the movie stuff, and then I played it for one day and then didn't play it again. So I literally started playing it yesterday. I played it one day in the last 12 months, and then started playing yesterday with the Demon Hunter, and it starts you off at level 98. I got her to level 100 in a pretty short time, and then geared her up for better than raid level gear right now. She's 700 plus
Already
gear score. Because
how did you do it so quick?
Well, there's an event going on, the invasion event now, which is awesome.
Okay.
So the invasion event has the ability it drops gear for your character, but it also has warglaves that you can buy or drop that are account bound. So what I've been doing is, since I have 2 level 100s, I've been collecting these shards that drop on the events, and then shifting the warglaves around and just powering up the weapons so that my Demon Hunter has the best gear of all my characters at the moment.
So is it something that I need to get back into? Convince me. All right, I'm gonna give you guys like 30 seconds. Sell it to me. Do I need to get back into work?
No, don't. You don't, because you've never really been in it. Like
what?
Like me and Ike.
What?
Well, with WoW things considered, Warcraft
how
and
how many raid guilds have you been in?
2. I forget why I was in Hazard, and I was in Laughing Vengeance.
Now, did you raid with those raid guilds, or were you just in it?
Why did you have to call me out? Like,
I'm just saying, like, if you never really give a shit. You don't seem like the guy who ever gave a shit about late game stuff, and at the moment, really, that's all there is to the game. I mean, they add every expansion every year and a half or whatever that distracts so you got 2 weeks of people like fucking getting to max level again. But that shit goes by so quickly, and then it's all end game shit. The game is all end game all the time now. I mean, every expansion just resets the barrier to entry into endgame all over again. But if you don't really give a shit about endgame, then it's not for you. But if you always thought, endgame's so hard to get into, then it's the perfect time, because endgame has never been easier to get into.
Yeah, I enjoyed the teamwork aspect of it, but I could pick that up pretty much.
I mean,
I don't know. Games.
After they made it looking for raids something that you could just get into with a pug and do raids, you can still see endgame, which is kind of nice, and that's been around for over a year.
But that's what killed it for me, though. The fact
I can see that.
I liked the community built around it, and like even having these summoning stones in game where you could go to the stone and press the button, and then all of a sudden there's a group there that you can interact with. That took out a lot of the fun of going in there and being.
Yeah, I love standing around 15 or 20 minutes while 40 people get summoned. It was so much fun.
I mean, I see what you're saying, Joe. Though, like that stuff, I get that, and that stuff is still there. It's just the smallest it's ever been, because you no longer have to do that. So you can see all of the content without ever really even having to speak to another human being or even strategize in the slightest when doing so. Like, you barely have to do any thinking to get through the raid content. There's still plenty of people who do raid guilds and the harder stuff, which you can get into if you want to dedicate the time, but it's harder to find, and that content's I know there'll be some people that disagree with this idea, but I like the fact that they made endgame a little more accessible. I don't mind. I wouldn't mind if they made that endgame a little more accessible closer to when they get ready to put out a new expansion, rather than kind of up front. But I like seeing it. I like following through the storyline, at least knowing the story, rather than having to hear it secondhand. But I can definitely appreciate the people that go into these raids and have to figure out the mechanics and when to do this and when to do that. So it does detract a little bit, but as Eric said, you can also still be a part of that bleeding edge and still get that feeling if that's what you really long for. Yeah, they still have. I mean, looking for raid is a mindless button mashing, but if you want to do the traditional getting into a raid guild and getting your 25 people together and working together to fight through a dungeon, that stuff still exists, and that stuff is harder than looking for raid.
Right, and that's what Yeah, that's exactly what I liked. The fact that you'd spend 30 minutes beforehand being like, all right, this is a strategy we're going to use in these rooms. We're going to skip this room. Don't touch these guys. And okay, don't don't do that. Do not sheep that person. We need him up because it resets
Oh
some.
God, he just ran in there. LeBron Jenkins!
I just Joe Carioti. Then like, oh man, here it comes. I actually look back fondly on those years. I know it was a long time ago, but I'm always looking for that experience again. But I've kind of had that. I feel like that in Pokemon give me the same thing, but in real life while I'm doing relatively healthy things like walking. So I could just go out and be part of a group of people talking about this loosely based, this game, and I'm using that term loosely because right now it's just like a big bug fest on your phone. But it's the community. It's the community that makes me want to go play Pokemon and be out there, and that's the same thing that gets me into WoW. I guess I've always been like that. It's very few times I turn on a game.
I've also I've only been playing for 2 days, and the guild that I was in has kind of fallen apart at the edges. Like, it's kind of come unraveled because people did exactly what I did, and they just took a really long break. So I'm expecting everyone to come back because I still look through the guild and see some people have logged on like the last week or whatever. And I started thinking, like, some of these people that I was seeing yesterday were people I haven't spoken to in a while, or even though we're on Facebook together, I really don't go out of my way to interact with them. And it was really awesome to kind of catch back up with some of those people, too. So some of that nostalgia and some of that community is still there.
It's funny that World of Warcraft is nostalgia for me now. That's crazy to think about. Where did the time go? Speaking of that, I think it's about time for a quick
How was your week?
Oh, man, my week? Why you gotta break up my plugs and stuff? My week was good. I had a good week. I ended up, if you notice, if you watch the video version, I have a different backdrop. That's because I am no longer in downtown Ann Arbor. I'm out in the south of Detroit, about 20 miles now, outside of Flat Rock, Michigan, where they make the powerful Ford Mustang. So if you drive a Mustang, I live like 5 minutes away from the plant that makes that Mustang right now, and the Ford Fusion. Anyway, it doesn't matter about that. I saw Ghostbusters. Okay, guys, Eric, you said it was going to be okay.
I didn't say that. I said I loved it.
You said
I
you
loved
loved
it too.
it.
Yeah, it was really good.
You guys both loved this movie. But what did you love about it? I don't understand the love
that
part.
It was a Ghostbusters movie through and through. That it did everything a Ghostbusters movie is supposed to do.
My biggest and perhaps my only complaint about the whole thing was some of their casting. I feel like some of the women were playing the exact same character that they do in every other fucking movie. And that would be the only downfall for me. Was like, oh, look, it's another movie where these women are playing the same character.
Yeah, Melissa McCarthy was playing the same Melissa McCarthy character she plays in every Paul Feig, Katie Dipple movie that she's in, which is fine. I like that character.
But full disclosure, I did have laugh out loud moments. That was good. I didn't actually expect it, but those kind of one-off slapstick moments were funny. But that was it. The whole show, I just didn't feel invested in it the entire time. I was really sad because I know it was getting mixed reviews, and I was hoping I was going to fall on the side of really enjoying it. But after the movie ended, I felt like it never got started. I didn't feel like the conflict was something I was vested in because I never got invested in the characters.
But you stayed after the credits, right?
Yeah, of course. I wanted to because...
Set up for another one.
Oh, which isn't going to happen now.
You don't think it's going to happen? I think...
No, they've said that it looks like it's probably not going to happen.
Because too many people are like me and thought it was kind of meh.
No, it just didn't make enough money. Because no one gives a shit about reviews. I mean, there's going to be a million new Suicide Squad movies because that movie made all the money ever. It made more money than Guardians of Galaxy did, and it's garbage.
And Deadpool.
And this is my problem. I feel like this movie was just so constructed. Like they had a frame and they're just like, okay, fill it in. We're gonna do this, and it didn't deliver to me. It felt really unfocused. It didn't feel like a tight comedy, and especially at the heels of seeing the Star Trek movie, which I think was excellent. and then you go see this pile of rubbish, I'll call it. I did not like it.
I was just upset that they portrayed men as like you can't be good looking and intelligent. That's the problem that I had.
Yeah, I did that was the least of my concerns. I thought that I don't even think the women thing, like, oh my gosh, women Ghostbusters, that was totally overblown. I think that was just like some kind of marketing gimmick that Sony did. I don't know.
It's that whole like vocal minority thing. It's like a handful of people, but we focus on the negative on the internet because it's more entertaining to focus on a bunch of fat assholes on Twitter who their Twitter image is just an egg, and to be like, this is all people on the internet are saying this, or look at all this shit, look at all this stuff. By the way, look at my blog, because it'll drive people to my blog and generate ad revenue, and so it's more interesting to focus on all of that because it drives more people to your website.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of clickbaity. These are the exact notes I took. Ghostbusters, 2 separate words, by the way. Soulless and lazy, not focused. So these are the things I thought of when I got in the car after. Never connected with any of the characters. Bored multiple times with BS sciencey jargon and exposition. I sat there during the movie and was just not entertained. That doesn't normally happen, even with terrible movies. I don't know. It did make me laugh, though. And, here's my biggest complaint. The remake song, the Ghostbusters remake song, sucked.
Are you referring to the one with Fall Out Boy and Missy Elliott, or the one by the Pentatonics?
I don't know. Whatever one they were playing when they were rolling in the street in that Cadillac, I wanted to...
At the very end, it was with Missy Elliott and Fall Out Boy.
Yeah. There was one in the middle of the movie that I
think that's the same one. I think that's the Fall Out Boy one.
So there's one in the middle of the movie where you're supposed to be amped. You're like, oh my gosh, the Ghostbusters are doing Ghostbusting stuff. I love it. And they're rolling in the Cadillac, and they're driving, and the cool European horn thing is going off, and it's supposed to be Ghostbusters, and this song is playing, and it totally removed me from the experience. I'm like, no, just play give me the riff of the first part of the first song. Like, that's so much better than there's just a lot of things like that removed me from the experience and stopped me from getting in the movie. So I don't know if I can call this a scathing review, but I didn't like it. I don't like it. Don't see it. 2 thumbs way down. Bam. So there you go. That's the opinion of the whole show. Everyone hates it here.
No.
Don't think that's what was said.
Liked it, and me and Ike liked it quite a bit, it seems.
Quite a bit? You're going quite a bit on me?
I liked it quite a bit. I, in fact, would say that I loved it.
You loved it? Okay, no. What?
If I loved it so much, why wouldn't I marry Kate McKinnon?
I would go see a second one if they made it.
Yeah.
I would see it in a theater. I would invest in seeing it in the theater. In fact, I saw it in 3D, and this one was worth it to me seeing in 3D because they did a really good job of kind of breaking the front panel, the window.
But you like 3D. I hate 3D. I saw it in 2D, but I made sure to go to see it at the Vista Vintage Cinema because it's one of the few remaining independent fucking cinemas in this goddamn country, and it's a delight. It's a beautiful theater. It's great. It's one screen. It's huge. There's not a bad seat in it. And it's fantastic, and people should support those kinds of theaters.
So in our chat room, justcoolenough.com/live, we record live every week at 6:30 Eastern Time on Wednesdays. Go check it out in your local time if you're not in the Eastern Time Zone. I know it's 3:30 over in California and stuff.
That's when you text people, right? When it's like 3:30 in California.
Only in the
morning. AM. Sorry, I was confused.
Yeah, this is when I have ideas.
3:23, I think.
I can't. What, Eric? Why don't you just put your phone on nighttime mode or something? Like automatic settings.
Just fuck off.
Wait, we're gonna end the show right now. No, you said the show ending words. I don't know what to do. In our chat room, anyway, they say First World Eric says, "Well, I didn't like a movie." # First World Problems, because he knows the topic is coming up. And Blazers33X says, Best part of the movie were any reference to the original. I really wanted to like Ghostbusters. See, Blazers33X agrees with me because he's
and that's
smart.
great. No,
He's a
he
smart
has
guy.
a different opinion, and it's fine
That's
to have
because he
different
sees you in
No,
person all the time
it is
and cares
not.
about your feelings.
It's not. If you have a different opinion, you shouldn't even be able to entertain the thought you should automatically hate that person.
Yeah, but whose opinion do we pick?
Well, it's 2
Mine.
against 1, so it's got to be Joe's.
Yeah, so
No,
you're
I'm the
the
vocal
man out.
minority. You have to listen to me. I steer.
Why do you hate women so much?
Oh God! Now you're turning it around on me. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to say that to you, Ghostbusters movie. I was just dumb. I was hangry. Anyway, guys, we gotta do some plugs, and then we'll get into the main topic, which is our biggest first
No.
world problem.
Um,
What's the matter?
Not that. I thought you meant like I was like plugs are at the end of the show. What the fuck are you talking
No,
about?
he means that he wants to plug shoutengine.com, where you could start your free podcast in under 5 minutes. Go shout it. Yeah, words fail me.
You did it. You did it. Just all you gotta do.
I was going to try to replug it at the end like they do when they say the telephone number like 5 times on television. You're like, yeah, I got it the second time, and now I can't get the fucking... Well, so I guess it worked. Shoutengine.com.
Also, we want to thank Alpha Geek Media for streaming us live on many different devices. Go get your tech news from Tom Merritt. Go check out, I think, I don't know. Some other people do shows on there. Go check them out. I was going to plug a different one, but I didn't have it ready. So just go check out Alpha Geek Media. They have tons of great nerd content that are always streaming live. Thank you, Todd, for giving us this awesome live chat room, which you could join at justcoolenough.com/live. Also,
and I appreciate the fact that this week everyone made my job a little bit easier by not emailing the show, but I also really kind of miss the fact that we don't get emails. So you can go ahead and email us at the show at justcoolenough.com with anything and everything that you want to tell us about.
Ike getting in there with the plug fest, or with the ad.
Because I have to make it seem like I'm not playing video games while we're doing this, and this
We
is my
know
way
you're
of doing
playing.
it.
Can I
World
ask
of
you a
Warcraft.
question to Joe? So Joe, what was it, Monday morning? Fucking woke me up at 3:23 with a text saying, "This is the idea for what we're going to talk about at the show." And it's like, fucking yeah, whatever. Okay, great. So then waits till early this morning to post what that idea is on our Facebook when he could have posted it, 2 days ago.
Okay, what's your question?
Why did you wait so long to post? Maybe we could get more responses if you didn't wait till just before the show.
I guess, I didn't actually think of that. That's a good point. Maybe next time when we think of something early, I'll post it on the Facebook. If you want to stay in tune with us, you can. Go to
Maybe
Facebook.com.
if we post stuff on Facebook.
Right. Facebook.com/justcoolenough. And you can actually stay tuned to what we're doing each week.
But
We
Joe,
also-
I don't have Facebook. I only have Twitter. What do I do?
You just stop using Twitter because that's just such a...
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Get on Instagram. That's what everybody else is doing. Stop using Twitter. Twitter's just for news and stuff. I don't know.
Use Meerkat.
Yeah. Have you tried Ello yet? Obscure guy.
What about Peach? Peach?
Oh
Is that
yeah,
still-
I was on that for a hot 5 seconds. I
I get all my news from this reputable site called The Onion.
Oh, okay. And one more thing: the Facebook contest where you share something. Nobody shared anything this week, so thanks a lot, guys. Thanks everyone. Thanks for sharing our content.
No, I shared something, but it was for a different show. But
And you can't win either. What do you want me to dig into the Steam bag here and give you a free Steam key? Possibly.
you know what?
awesome
I'm
Steam
going to
key.
go ahead and I'm going to do that. I'm going to change the rules a little bit and say you can even share Just Fit Enough's Facebook post from Just Cool Enough's Facebook page. We'll still count it for this.
Sure,
Also-
yeah, as long as
It's just Cool Enough related.
Can I ask also,
No.
how often do you guys do Just Fit Enough? And if it's regular, why is it never posted to the website?
Oh yeah, that's just my fault. What do you?
Joe,
this-
you
this
have
is
one
how-
job. It's everything. I don't understand.
No,
No,
Eric
he-
also does everything.
I do everything involved in this show, and I get that shit done.
Except for posting on Facebook, which is Joe's thing.
Yeah.
Well, no,
'cause
but you should post on Facebook more, Eric.
Eh,
That'd be super helpful.
I barely use my own Facebook.
I barely have time for your excuses, Mister. Now get on the Facebook and start posting.
I'm living my life. I got stuff going on every day this week. It sucks. I had to put on pants multiple times.
Eric, you finally having to put on pants every day it's like watching a toddler learn to walk. I mean, actually, no. I take that. It's like watching a preteen learn to walk because for whatever reason, they were kept in like a barn and where it wasn't able to walk for a long time. I don't know why. Like your life is just exploding with activity now, and you were in a dormant state for so long. So everybody has. What I'm trying to say is everybody has things going on every day now, Eric. That's just how it is when you're rounding up on your 30s and stuff.
I quit.
There. Now that you feel like an adult.
That is not what I said. At no point did I say I feel like an adult.
Well, no, that's the sign of being an adult is when you just feel like quitting. Now you're oh god, this is too.
Then I've been an adult all my life, because all I do is quit.
Eric, what if
all I do is quit? What?
Quit.
Stop. The way the song goes.
No, what if Eric is just
throw your hands up and just say fuck it.
And then just walk away. Eric is actually older than all of us. He's actually past all adulthood and everything, and he's basically retired now.
I'm actually on the other side. I'm actually getting younger. Yeah.
He's gone around.
Yeah. I'm Benjamin Button in it.
Just a slow burn Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that seems right. Anyway, sorry for giving you a hard time, man. All right, so this week's topic is our biggest first world problems. Who wants to start? Anybody? Bueller? Okay, fine, I'll start. My biggest first world problem is, the first one is commuting. Driving places and getting to places that it's just such a chore for me. And there's so many other things I would be rather doing than mindlessly driving an hour to work, right? Like, can we agree that commuting is probably one of the worst things in the first world?
I don't know if that's a first
world
world
problem. I don't know what
problem.
you're talking about. It only takes me 20 minutes to go 3 blocks in this city.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's so reasonable. The cheat code for LA is buy a scooter and then just lane split everywhere you go.
And then just get run over.
I mean, I know a guy who hasn't gotten run over yet.
Then you don't have to worry about going to work because you'll get all the money from the settlement for getting hit by a car.
You'll never walk again and be fed through a tube in your neck, but...
I hear the state takes good care of you once you get injured like that.
It does not. It does not. This state's is our healthcare system is very fucked. I have some very close friends that have been very fucked by this state.
It's not just the state; it's the whole country.
Yeah, but this state is also not great.
See, this is a first world problem.
Tell me this got a lot of issues with healthcare.
Yeah. But this is a first world problem.
No, lack of healthcare is not a first world problem.
It's something that first world people complain about.
It's something that every human being should complain about because it should be a basic human right.
I think your first one, Joe, is a little weak. I don't really consider it to be like a first world problem.
What? You think commuting is weak? I think
that is the definition of a first world problem. It's like I have a job in upward mobility in the upper middle class and have the affluence to live in a nice area not near my place of work and travel there in a vehicle. Isn't it the worst? I mean, all you people that have to carry water buckets 16 miles a day so that your grandparents don't die, like you don't know how hard it is. I feel like he is doing the assignment. First world problem.
Right, and that's exactly it. That's what Eric. Thank you for making all my points for me.
I'm running out of podcasts because my commute is too long.
Right, exactly. It's like, oh man, I couldn't do this optional show I do with my 2 other buddies because I just had to drive an hour today in my air-conditioned car that I happen to love driving, but for whatever reason I put commuting in this little box that it makes me hate it for whatever reason. And
it wasn't missed, by the way, that you called us buddies and not friends.
My 2 pals. I got to do this show with these 2 other guys.
Some jagovs, I know.
Ike, what's your Mr. High and Mighty with first world problems? What's your first world problem?
All right. My first world problem, one of my biggest ones, is that I have an issue that restaurants serve too much food, and I don't really like leftovers. So I feel compelled to eat all the food they bring me, even when I can no longer eat anymore. And I will take leftovers home and eat them if absolutely necessary, but I prefer to consume all of the food at the restaurant to prevent having to take leftovers home.
That's a good first world problem.
I
I just have so much food. I can't. I don't
Too much food.
I'm the same way. I have a real hard time with it's like, well, it's all there. I don't want it to go to waste and stuff like that. They don't give a shit, and they don't mind putting in a goddamn box. That's like a friend of mine during Comic-Con. We were basically like, because she doesn't eat much, and I was realizing, we can just like buy a thing and each have half of it, and she doesn't need that much food because she's tiny, and this is what a human being should be eating for this meal, so I'm fine. Like, it was teaching me proper eating habits, because like, I can actually just eat half of this, and that's okay. I don't have to eat this whole goddamn thing.
That's the. I actually warped Sarah's head because she used to be like that, and I actually, this is one of the things that went the wrong way, where I was expecting her to change me. She's like, well, when I met Sarah, do you guys know what pierogies are?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So pierogies, look it up on the internet if you don't know what it is. They're little filled balls of dough and stuff, usually fried or baked or whatever. So anyway, Sarah, when I met her, she's like, I only ever eat 3 pierogies because, they're just carbs and stuff and everything. I'm like, 3 pierogies? I usually eat like a 2-pound bag of pierogies. I have no idea. So yeah, that rubbed off on her the wrong way. Anyway, too much food, Ike. That's your complaint.
So that's the top of my list. I have 4 of them, and that is the top of that.
That's a good one. I feel like waste in general is a good topic, because moving out of that apartment complex, I'm pretty sure I told you guys it was basically student housing that we were just subleasing. And so there were so many kids out there that were throwing away perfectly good pieces of furniture, like futons, mattresses, and tons of different cleaning supplies, Blu-ray players. There was a Blu-ray player just laying out. I went to go. I'm like, oh man, I'm coming back for that thing. I'm totally gonna garbage pick the hell out of this Blu-ray player. Came back up there, gone. I was like, shit, somebody got to it before I did. But people are just throwing this stuff out, and full dining sets that full well that some parent paid $1,500 for this really nice futon. Kids
that's not even a student thing. Like I cannot, like, you would not fathom. Like, you've driven through here. There's just couches far as the eye could see, just sitting on streets, mattresses, just like people like moving out. I don't have room for this, or I just don't care to move it, so I will just throw it in the goddamn street and wait for the city to deal with it.
Yeah, waste, man. We waste so many different things. My grandparents came from the old world, right? They survived World War II in Italy and they had to ration stuff. So it's a really weird dynamic. In fact, to this day, I won't throw a piece of food away, especially in front of my grandparents, because they would have a fit to throw a piece of chicken. That piece of chicken can be turned into soup that could feed you for days. That's just it's a purely first world thing, and I don't know if it's an American thing. I'm sure that other more developed countries do similar things, but the scale at which I watched this 20-story building, all these kids just throwing out stuff, it made my stomach turn.
I mean, I think it's a Western thing, a first world thing, but I think Americans, like most things, we exemplify, and like we are a shining example in food waste. Because I was in France for a week, so I'm an expert on Europe. But yeah, like the portions were a lot smaller, but that didn't mean that like things didn't go to waste. I think we're just in America. Our portions are so much healthier than most people, and healthy is a terrible word for
healthy is not the word.
Yeah, it's not the right word, but it's the word I chose. It's the word my brain said, and that's what we're going.
And that's what we're sticking with. Healthy portions here in America. When you mean healthy, you mean gargantuan, right?
Yeah,
like,
I mean
a large size,
substantial.
Yeah. Substantial.
Can choke a horse. I guess I'll go. One of my ones that I'm just coming up with when I can think of them, because I didn't do any show prep. It may be a uniquely Los Angeles thing, or maybe like metropolitan thing, but it's the fucking parking signs. The street signs in Los Angeles are unreadable at times because it's literally multiple signs on a pole, all of which contradict each other. It's like no parking from 6 a.m. to noon on Tuesdays, 2-hour parking only on alternating Wednesdays, no parking anytime. You're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, the LA ones are especially bad. The whole
ridiculous.
Los Angeles area was pretty terrible for street parking. Not to mention if you find a spot.
Yeah, because everyone drives, but there's no parking anywhere in this city, so you have to park on the street. And meters they're not bad, but they're an hour to like you cannot like if it's just a regular ass street meter, you can't put more than an hour in there, so you have to be able to come back and forth, which most of the time you don't have the ability. Like you're doing something, you can't turn around. You can't every 60 minutes come back and throw another $1.50 or whatever. There are like paid lots which are nicer. You can put more time on. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them, like the one behind Meltdown Comics, which is tiny and always full of cars anyways, you can only put 2 hours on, which if you're there all fucking night is crazy because it's like, well, I guess I have to come back every 2 fucking hours.
So what? I know parking's pretty bad over in Boston. I never had to park over in Providence or anything like that, but it's not uniquely LA, but I've definitely had some issues over in Indianapolis trying to park. Just confusing signs.
The macro idea is parking, but the micro complaint is just the street signs and how confusing they are.
Micro complaints.
Yeah, the micro of this complaint is just the street signage that they use for street parking in Los Angeles is garbage in so many ways. Like, I don't understand when they make, because there are plenty of streets, like there's a section of Los Feliz where it goes from 3 lanes to 2 lanes where it says no parking anytime, which I'm fine with. But above that is also the old sign of when it was okay to park there. It's like, can't park here Tuesday mornings, but no parking at any time. Why don't they take the signs that don't matter, like the can't park here Tuesday mornings, because that doesn't matter, because all that really matters is the no parking at any time. So why are any other signs on there besides no parking at any time?
I feel you. Speaking as someone who just got a $45 ticket for no reason while being parked in downtown Detroit,
yeah,
I understand your feels. I used the app too. It didn't say no parking. It just pissed me off. My next thing to complain about in our gilded age here is too many choices. Just overall, when you're living in the first world, when you're living in westernized first world problems, there's a lot of them. But having too many choices is one of the biggest, I think. Whether it is walking down the cereal aisle, what graphics card to pick, what car to buy, what place to eat. Oh my God, how many arguments or just pain in the ass conversations have you had because you can't figure out where a group of people want to go eat too much food, will go commute to a place and eat too much food. But there's just it's all choices. Choices are the source of so many of our problems. And to add insult to injury, if you have too many choices, you're ultimately unhappy because you always are thinking the next thing could be better. So,
after a lot of senior ditch day meetings on Saturdays, a lot of times we'll go get dinner because it's late, and now a lot of us are sticking around anyways for shows that start in like 2 hours. So it's like, hey, let's get food. And there's a number of places in that area we can eat. And it's always like that because like certain people don't want to eat something, blah, 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 blah. So I'm always like, so where do we want to? It's like, so you guys want to stand around here for 20 minutes deciding before we all just go to carving board? Because we're just gonna end up at carving board, guys. Let's just go to carving board now. Like,
let's just cut the shit. We're going to carving board. Ike, I know you have to weigh in on this because I've had side conversations with you.
About too much choices?
Having too many choices in the first world.
Well, I don't like making choices generally because I try not to have too much of a problem with what the choice. Like if it's like, oh, do you want chocolate or vanilla? I really don't care. I still get ice cream. It doesn't matter to me.
You're one of the insufferable ones then.
So, but the problem is that like my fiance is also the same way. So when it comes to dinner, it's like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. And then it's like, well, what do you want to do? And then ultimately, it usually ends up with me going, well, like, let's do, for example, Subway, and she's like, oh man, anything but Subway. Okay, well, let's go like get Wendy's. I don't really
No,
feel like
then
Wendy's
fuck her,
either.
because that's her deal.
Right,
Because
right.
I'm also one of those. I can eat anything. I'm fine. And then if someone's like I don't care either. Then I go fine, and then I make a decision. And if they're like no, not that, I might give them one more. But if they're like not that, then I'm like fuck you. No,
Yeah,
fuck
it's
you.
like,
I won't stand for it. I won't stand for it. This is what I'm getting.
In the chat room, justcoolenough.com/live, Brady says decision fatigue. That is the word I was looking for. It's decision fatigue. Not too many choices. Sounds like a child wrote it. Decision fatigue. That's a college word right there. That's what I need to be using. But this is the speed hack to that is when somebody asks you if you want something, just tell them the answer, because then that like if you were like oh Joe, where do you want to go eat? I would be like I want to go carving board. Done. And then that's it.
It's not that I want to go to carving board. It's just we're going to end up there anyway. So I'm like, let's just start walking to carving board and have this conversation. Because by the time we get to carving board, we will have finished and decided we're going there anyways.
But the problem here is so many people are scared that their suggestion might I don't know offend, but upset someone.
Not in our group. In our group, it's like, well, Micah doesn't want to eat at Toy because it's got a B rating, and Sunset Thai has an A rating. But then he doesn't like Thai food. It's like, well, then what the fuck? And he's only going to be there for a few. Why are we listening to what Micah gives a shit about? Because he's not going to show up anyways.
See, this is what I'm saying. Just make the answer the thing you want, and then if people really have a disagreement with it, they'll speak up or they'll just suffer in silence, because that's their burden. If they're not bringing it up, that's their burden to bear. Oh, I don't feel like Chipotle. I had it for lunch. Well, then say something. Don't just. I've had this happen where I suggest a place, like, all right, we're going there. This actually happened to me like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a group of friends that I don't normally hang out with. They're like a friend of a friend thing, and they came in and met us, and I'm like, oh, hey, what? They're like, oh man, Joe, I'm so hungry, and you and Sarah, you guys eat all over the place in the city, and you have a bunch of good restaurants. Man, I'm so hungry. I'm like, okay, well, what kind of food do you want? Oh, I don't care. All right. Well, so that's like a strike one. Like, well, we have a Mediterranean place. We can go to this Italian place. We can get sushi. And then they're like, oh, I don't care. Okay, strike two. And then they ask him another question. Boom, strike three against them. I gave them 3 chances to pick where they wanted to eat. And then I was like, okay, well, we're going to go get sushi. And they're like, all right, yeah, sushi. They both went along with the plan. We get to the sushi restaurant, and the person goes, I don't like fish. I don't like fish, I don't like eating raw fish, and I don't like sushi. But you already agreed to go to the restaurant. We walked a half a mile out of our way to go get the best sushi in town, and this guy's complaining after you already get there? Just tell me a friggin' answer! Oh, man, I can't stand that stuff, as you can tell.
So my next one would be, we've talked about it before that I get Blue Apron. I really enjoy. I've been enjoying Blue Apron more so recently than I think I did a year ago. My big pet peeve is if they're going to send me the food in the mail, could they just wash all the vegetables before they get here for me? Because it's one more thing I have to do in order to make my dinner is that I have to wash the vegetables in order to cut the vegetables. I don't mind cutting them because it's kind of a fun experience, but at least if they go, please come pre-washed so I don't have to worry about cleaning my own food.
I mean,
awesome.
Even if they said they came pre-washed, I wouldn't wash it still. Like I
would feel I don't trust
We
people.
washed all these carrots and then sent them through the United States Postal Service. They're fine.
Even if they're in a bag, like, and they say pre-washed though, like, would you still wash them? So wait, having to wash vegetables is your first world problem?
Well, I'm legitimately right. It's something that's really easy to do. Is just annoying.
It's something that you have the incredible access to. It is in no way difficult for you to find the means to wash your vegetables, nor is it hard or does it take much time, and nor is there any penalty for you doing it. In fact,
it does take some time. That's about 5 minutes out of my life that I could be making my food.
No, it fits all the criteria of being a first world problem.
I could go the extra step that it's not prepared and cut for me, but the cutting part doesn't bother me.
They didn't prepare
as far as
you don't
me.
Why didn't they just ship you completely cooked meals?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Why just cut out the middleman, Ike? Just get the.
I like cooking the meals. I enjoy learning how, like, the
No,
science
you
behind
don't. You don't like cooking the meal. You like the
I do like
illusion
cooking
of
it.
cooking the meal.
Don't tell him what he. Don't Ghostbusters him.
Tell me.
Don't tell him he doesn't like cooking. He can like cooking. Just because you don't like cooking doesn't mean that everybody doesn't like cooking.
I do like cooking though, but I understand what you're saying.
No, you
though,
don't.
Ike.
No, you don't. I'm saying that because you can tell me what I do and don't like, so I'm telling you that you can't like cooking either.
Yeah.
If I can't like cooking, you can't like cooking.
If we can't like Ghostbusters, you can't like cooking.
Fine. Deal. But you guys have to not like Ghostbusters. I'll take that deal every friggin' time. 10 out of 10 would make the deal again. I think it's hilarious. Like having to cut vegetables is a priceless.
I have two more that are really small that are along that same line. It's like I don't like the fact that sometimes I have issues with my iPhone, my iPad, and my MacBook not syncing. So if I can't get I have to email myself certain documents to myself because they won't sync across my platforms.
That's legitimate. That's
Another
I
quick
also
one.
don't like having to go home, quote unquote, early because my extra batteries that I have for playing Pokemon Go have also run out of power.
Oh, yeah. One of my real quick ones is I hate that every fucking fast food joint has to have different words for like large and stuff like that. Like I hate that. Like why can't you just call it regular or large? Like why like Starbucks started it, then everyone does it. Like everyone has to invent their own fucking words.
I'll have a large. Oh, you mean venti? I mean, go fuck yourself. That's
yeah. I mean yeah. Literally stick your dick in hot coffee.
yeah. And they probably will. So
Nobody's ever gone, you mean venti to me. I just say, So
Like
I've never had that
pump some
issue.
mocha and for you to stick your dick in the cup. Please.
Yeah.
I've had the thing where I asked for a large and they said, you mean venti? And I'm like, mm-hmm. And I just
No, I
kinda
mean large, motherfucker. Give me my large coffee.
sometimes instead of
I
small,
want goddamn liter of cola.
I've had this happen to me too. Instead of small, I say baby. Like, I'll have the baby size. And the kicker is when they actually have a size smaller than a small that actually is for a baby or a
Shot
child.
glass. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, oh man, I asked for baby.
All of that's on you. Like that's not
Oh,
a
I know.
problem.
Exactly what you ordered.
That's a Joe problem, not a first world problem. That's me being quirky and dumb. That's not a good thing. Anyway, yeah. We're almost out of time. I have a huge problem.
Yeah.
We're out of time, guys.
We gotta start talking about all this horse shit and then plug each other.
All right, do it. Say the words.
My plug for this week is I mentioned at the top of the show, but I did a game of Goblin Quest, which you can find the link on the Saving Throw Show YouTube channel, or you can check out the show notes of this episode at justcoolenough.com.
And right under that Goblin Quest link will be my link to Reasons to Remember Death. There's an excellent channel out there called The School of Life, and it just, keep death alive in your head so you don't let fear rule your life. It's something to think about. Go watch the video. It's inspiring, it's scary, and hopefully it gets you off your ass so you go do something cool. Ike, what's your plug?
I plugged this a long time ago, but because I didn't have a plug and you reminded me of it, I'll plug it anyway. Go check out, if you're looking for some good reads and you're like, oh, I got some extra time, I want to read some books, check out George Pendle's Death a Life. It's the memoirs of death. I found it again recently and really enjoy it.
All right.
All right.
Thank
you guys so much for listening. And if you have any issues with what we've said on this show, fuck off. Listen to another podcast. I don't give
Oh my gosh. Oh man. And even though I named this episode 341 and it's actually 342, don't name it wrong, Eric. That was my bad.
Off.
That was oh dude,
How
come
dare
on,
you.
man. Twice? I was just trying to let a PSA know that this is an episode 341.
Yeah, but that
340.
first fuck off was for the listeners. That one was just for you.
Aw.